who's ready to find out what else is possible tonight? So we've had a lot of great presentations, and we've got some recurring themes that are going to come up in this talk today, and there's probably a reason for that. So have you always known that something else was possible for you in your life? Have you always known that there were greater possibilities for you just waiting to be grabbed? Have you ever wondered what it would take for your phenomenal life to show up? The perfect relationship, well, maybe not perfect, but the one of your dreams, more money than you could ever spend, a business that actually worked for you, list goes on and on. That's what InspirACTION is all about. It's about finding out what possibilities exist for you in this universe. So in a world of infinite possibilities, it would make sense that everybody's got a chance to have exactly what they desire. So what happened? And why don't we all have it all right now? So has anybody ever had a tough day? Show of hands. Okay, anybody that didn't raise their hand, I know who the liars are. Okay, sometimes that tough day turns into a tough week, tough month, or a really hard year. Some of us have spent years of struggle, and things can seem pretty difficult. So I found myself in a pretty similar place back in 2009, although it wasn't that bad. It still felt like it. I'd finished college. I'd moved back home with my parents. Ooh, that was good. And I got dumped by my girlfriend, and I couldn't find a job. At least nothing that would work for me. And I felt like I had a loss of purpose. You know, I'd spent my entire life going to school. And when I got done, it just didn't seem like there was anything more for me. Every day I'd go to work with my dad. I had a little part-time job. And I'd come home thinking, is this it? Is this all I get to have? Like, is tomorrow going to be the same? And that didn't make me feel very good. You know, what I found out from all that was that when I wasn't growing, I was actually dying. So when I wasn't doing anything new, those are the times when I felt like crap. When I wasn't jumping out of my comfort zone and doing new things to learn and grow about myself, it just didn't seem like there was anything worth living for. So at the end of 2009 and the beginning of 2010, I made a decision, and I chose to create InspirACTION. I chose to take a step, not knowing what it would look like, just to find out what is possible for me, because I knew that there had to be something greater for me out there. So in 2010, I ended up picking up a video camera, and I did something new every single day that I'd never done before. I created over 250 videos, all for the fun of it. I found thousands of new friends. Tons of new people in this room are actually my friends because of this whole entire thing. So it's pretty cool. Lots of new fans, subscribers to my YouTube channel, and I found out that I was inspiring people all over the world. So that was a pretty cool feeling. But the entire journey was originally just for me. I just wanted to see what could happen if I just took a step out there. So it took me to places that I never dreamed of. I spent one day cross-dressing. That was a cool experience. I love this picture because my biceps look huge in a dress. I also jumped out of my car and danced around to Miley Cyrus' Party in the USA on a dare, just for the fun of it, and stop traffic. Maybe not a good idea in some other places, but it worked out that time. I also spent an afternoon with a lot of my friends creating this huge, giant sidewalk chalk mural in the front of my yard. Yeah, Mythica, she saw that one. So we had a lot of fun acting like kids that day. We also spent some time with the kids around the community, actually going out and building a snowman that was larger than we could have ever fathomed before we even started. So my friend Mitch is in that picture. He's about 6 foot tall, and he's already on a ladder. So that thing was a monster, and it was around for weeks after all the rest of the snow melted. This picture is actually me sliding down Mount Gray's, a 14,000-foot mountain here in Colorado, on my butt. That was one of the wildest rides I have ever experienced. And on that same mountain, I journeyed to the top of the world to search for sunrise. And that's what I found, as well as a couple new friends. So being up there on that mountain was also an incredible experience that I'll never forget. I also spent a day in silence, a day with no shoes. I spent a day with no arm, or one arm. And that was far more difficult than I thought before I actually came up with the challenge. So what's the big deal, and who cares about sidewalk chalk and climbing mountains and doing all that stuff? Well, I found out that just by choosing it, and going for it, things happened. New things occurred in my life, and I found a tremendous amount of discovery each and every day just by going and looking for it, being open and being willing to be surprised. So after a year, the amount of growth that happened in my life was absolutely incredible. I found myself in a new business with new business partners. I had never thought about starting a business. Maybe that was why I couldn't get a job after school. I also found myself in a new relationship after being dumped, all the way to being able to receive somebody who is far greater than I could ever imagine. Beyond that, the experiences that I had were always different and never what I thought they would actually be. So when I went and made the snowman, I found an amazing sense of community, being that some of the oldest people participating in the project were 23, 25, and the youngest being in 2nd grade. That was pretty cool, and that was something that I'd never found before. So I knew that after I completed my year of firsts and found all these people that were inspired by what I was doing, I knew that what I was doing was being the invitation for other people to step out of their comfort zones and just go for it. See, what happens is when you do something and you show other people what's possible, other people also realize the same exact thing. So for the longest time, nobody could run the 4-minute mile, and then somebody did it, and then everybody started to do it. So my mission for Beyond was actually to take all this and empower others to take the challenge. Take the InspirACTION challenge, go out there. You don't have to do it for an entire year, but go out there and push your comfort zone at least once, maybe twice. 3 times certainly wouldn't hurt. And it doesn't matter how small or big it is, but incredible things can actually happen when you go and do it. So the latter half of this talk is about actually giving you the tools to take the challenge. We're going to talk about fear versus excitement. We're going to talk about the power of asking questions, which has already come up a number of times tonight. What it is about choice and discovery that will actually change your life, and this silly concept of failure that seems to come up all the time. We're going to break through all this stuff, guys. So fear versus excitement. Interesting thing about this is that scientists have actually proved that it's neurologically and biologically the same exact thing. So the butterflies, everybody's got them. But what if that's actually just you being excited about what's coming up in your universe? Pretty cool, right? So what if it were actually excitement? And I found out that what comes up in my universe before I take the dive and actually do something new is pretty equal to what I would receive on the other side as long as I made the choice to go do it. So I found out that whenever I did stuff that scared the crap out of me, those are the times when I grew the most. Which brings us to one of the most powerful tools that you could have in breaking free of your comfort zone, and that's asking questions. So ask and you shall receive. Everybody's heard that one, right? It's a universal truth. The Bible has it. The Secret, if you've ever seen that movie, that had the same concept. So what if it was asking the question that actually brought up new possibilities for your life? So when you ask a question like, what else is possible? Do you feel the energy kind of expand? Versus when you say, this is how it is, do you feel a contraction? What if you asked, how does it get any better than this? For the good, the bad, and the ugly throughout your entire life. Didn't matter what it is. If when you ask the universe, how does it get any better than this? What do you think the universe is going to say? Thank God you asked me a question. Here, let me show you. And if that weren't the case, it would have been written, conclude and you shall receive. So, being open to being surprised is actually like the best thing that you can do for yourself when you ask a question, because you don't know how things are going to show up. You don't know what it's going to look like, and you certainly don't know what you bargained for when you asked it. So being open to being surprised in how it shows up is the key. So how many of you know what it will be like before you actually do it? Or do you actually know what it will be like when you do it? Answer is no. No, you will never know what it's like to actually go out and cross-dress until you do it. So guys, I dare you, go out and cross-dress for a day. It's unbelievable the kind of stuff that actually happens and the things that you learn from actually doing it. All right, the possibilities are endless. It's up to you to decide, what are you going to do that's going to change your reality forever? There's also this concept of choice and discovery. So I encourage you to begin with the choice rather than the analysis. So how many of you guys are getting ready to get ready? We do this in business, we do this with relationships, we do this all the time. So what if you just, for example, you changed 6 times before this event tonight just to make sure that you're pretty before you went? But you kept changing and kept changing, like, this isn't good, this isn't good. And then you missed the entire event. That's what happens when you're getting ready to get ready and you're not actually doing anything to change things for you. So when I decided to do InspirACTION and I chose it, I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea how to edit videos. I had no idea how to do social media. I had no idea what was going to come out of this crazy experiment, but I knew that things had to change for me. And what was crazy was the second that I chose it, everything showed up. So when I chose to do this, somebody came into my universe through Facebook. Yes, Facebook. Somebody showed up to actually build my blog from scratch for nothing. He just wanted to do it for me. I learned how to do all the video production by myself. I got a job as a videographer. He saw one of my blogs and was like, I'll train you. We'll do this. Got all the software. And the list goes on. I just learned everything as I went, and everything continued to show up that enabled me to have the life that I desired. So discovery is actually a funny thing, because unless you are willing to go on an adventure, nothing is going to change for you. Discovery requires an adventure, and so being willing to be surprised and see what shows up is actually the fun part about it. Remember that fear versus excitement thing? Oh yeah, that's not real. So what if you just went for it and knew that every single day was going to be an adventure? What if you woke up every day and asked, who am I today, and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have? Is that a good question to start the day with, or what? See what happens and be open to the possibilities. And then we get to the concept of failure. Failure is an interesting one, and it's actually one of the things that stops most people from experiencing something totally different. So how many of you guys have ever felt like you have failed at something? All right, no more people are lying in the audience. It's fantastic. Okay, well, there's actually good news about it, because what if you actually succeeded at finding out everything that you didn't want? So maybe you failed at a marriage, maybe you failed at dating. What if you were just finding out who didn't work for you? So take a look at your life and figure out, where have I been a success? Was failure ever actually real? Maybe I was just finding out all this stuff that didn't actually work for me. Great, now I can choose something totally different. And this is the key right here to all this. For when you go out and take a challenge and step out of your comfort zone, would you just give yourself a chance and get out of the judgment of you? Yeah. Every time you go do something new and you judge yourself for the way that you performed, do you think it might get in the way of you doing something different next time? Yeah. So what if you gave yourself a chance each and every time to shine brighter than you could ever imagine? Because, my friends, you are an infinite being. And could an infinite being ever be anything less than infinite? So let's not judge ourselves, okay? If you go out into the world and do something that you've never done before, I guarantee you new things will come into your life that you could never, ever imagine. And if you don't judge yourself, more and more things will begin to show up as you take each new choice and step into each brand new day. So, I'd like to close with this statement, and that is, you are the only one powerful enough to stop you, and the only one powerful enough to set you free. So, my friends, what do you choose? Will you choose something totally different, or will you choose the same thing that you've been living each and every day? The choice is yours. Thank you.